Would you continue to give Ukraine money and weapons if you're elected? What's the answer?
If I'm president, I will have that war settled in one day, 24 hours. It'll be absolutely
Do you
over.
want Ukraine to win this war?
I don't think in terms of winning and losing. I think in terms of getting it settled so we stop killing all these people.
Can I just follow up on that, because that's a really important
Excuse me,
statement
let me
that
just
you just
follow
made
up.
there. Can you say if you want Ukraine or Russia to win this war?
I want everybody to stop dying. They're dying. Russians and Ukrainians. I want them to stop dying.
Okay, and finally, new rule. Someone must tell the usual suspects on the far left that the saying is, when you're in a hole, stop digging, not keep digging. Talk about doubling down on what got you fucked in the first place. Even the one concession I've heard a few people on the losing side offer, that liberals should stop saying the Trump voters are stupid, comes with a kind of unspoken parentheses. We know they are stupid, just don't say it. You made press because you were on Stephen Colbert's show, and he said something like, you guys at CNN just report the news straight. And the crowd burst into laughter.
Why you held on to those documents when you knew the federal government was seeking them and then had given you a subpoena to return them?
Are you ready? Are you ready? Can I talk?
Yeah, what's
you
the
mind?
answer?
Do you mind?
I would like for you to answer the question.
Okay, it's very simple to answer.
That's why I asked it.
It's very simple to, you're a nasty person, I'll tell you.
We thought Bill Maher had already delivered the knockout punch when he went after Kaitlan Collins for targeting Caroline Leavitt. But guess what? Kaitlan didn't learn her lesson. She's back at it again, going after Leavitt, Trump, and Elon Musk with even more reckless attacks. And Bill, he's not just sitting back this time, he came for her harder than ever. This new takedown, it's even more ruthless, more explosive, and the sparks are flying. Trust, we've got all the explosive details right here. Let's dive into the chaos.
Would you continue to give Ukraine money and weapons if you're elected? What's the answer?
If I'm president, I will have that war settled in one day, 24 hours. It'll be absolutely
Do you
over.
want Ukraine to win this war?
I don't think in terms of winning and losing. I think in terms of getting it settled so we stop killing all these people.
Can I just follow up on that, because that's a really important
Excuse me,
statement
let me
that
just
you just
follow
made
up.
there. Can you say if you want Ukraine or Russia to win this war?
I want everybody to stop dying. They're dying. Russians and Ukrainians. I want them to stop dying.
Before we get to Bill Maher's savage takedown, let's unpack why Maher, yes, the same guy who pulled the lever for Biden, is suddenly sounding like he's waving a Republican flag. Here's what's really going on. The woke media has been laying traps for Trump since before he even clinched the election. And leading the ambush, Kaitlan Collins. In the clip you just saw, Collins wasn't asking questions. She was baiting a trap, hoping to catch Trump slipping and make him look unfit for office. It was a no-win setup. If Trump backed Ukraine, they'd brand him a warmonger. If he leaned toward Russia, they'd call him a traitor. Total checkmate. Or so they thought. But Trump's no rookie. He dodged the whole setup like a seasoned pro, saying he just wanted to stop the bloodshed, no matter which side. And if there's one thing the woke machine cannot handle, it's losing the narrative right in front of a national audience.
Why you held on to those documents when you knew the federal government was seeking them and then had given you a subpoena to return them?
Are you ready? Are you ready? Can I talk?
Yeah, what's
you
the
mind?
answer?
Do you mind?
I would like for you to answer the question.
Okay, it's very simple to answer.
That's why I asked it.
It's very simple to, you're a nasty person, I'll tell you.
Trump wasn't about to let Kaitlan Collins play games. He shut her down on the spot. And honestly, she had it coming. Instead of asking real questions, Kaitlan was rambling, throwing shade, and wasting time like it was part of her strategy. Classic CNN. She wasn't fishing for answers. She was fishing for a gotcha moment. But Trump saw it coming. Like a pro, he dodged her trap and hit back hard, leaving Kaitlan scrambling. Brutal. And just when you think she'd back off, she made it worse, going after Donald Trump Jr. next.
That environment wasn't just created by Donald Trump.
Okay, but can I say, you can't blame, and everyone wants your dad to be safe. No one wants the threats against his life to happen, but you can't blame the media for those threats. There's been no evidence that's what drove those.
And allows people to have a platform to call someone literally Hitler every day for 9 years, it creates it.
Okay.
Whether you want to believe it or not, that's a fact.
But as you know, J.D. Vance once likened your dad to Hitler as well. He questioned if he was America's Hitler.
This fiery moment came right after the assassination attempt on Trump. Donald Trump Jr. didn't mince words. He flat out blamed the media for fueling the hate by constantly branding his father as Hitler. And honestly, he's not wrong. For years, the press painted Trump as some villainous dictator, turning him into a public enemy. They mocked, demonized, and dehumanized him, then acted shocked when things spiraled. And let's not ignore Kaitlan Collins smugly dragging up J.D. Vance's old Hitler comment, like it even compared. Vance didn't control the media machine. He bought the lies until he saw the truth for himself. No wonder Bill Maher snapped. He's done playing nice with the double standards, and this time he called it out loud and clear.
Is it appropriate to bury the Hunter Biden?
You're talking about the press doing that?
He's saying that's what they did, and that is what they did. They buried the Hunter Biden story before the election because they were like, we can't risk having the election thrown to Trump. We'll tell them after the election.
And we know for a fact that that's what they did?
Of course. You don't follow this.
Saying you know for a fact that that's what they did. I don't know what they did.
I know, because you only watch MSNBC.
No, that's not true.
Bill Maher finally snapped. And honestly, who could blame him? Kaitlan Collins and her crew have spent years spinning Biden into a hero and painting Trump as pure evil. They aren't just reporting the news anymore, they're manufacturing it, twisting stories, fueling outrage, and doing whatever it takes to protect their favorites. Meanwhile, real scandals like Hunter Biden's shady dealings get swept under the rug like they never existed. If Don Jr. had even a fraction of Hunter's mess, CNN would be screaming 24/7. Maher sees the game, and this time, he ripped the mask off the media's fake neutrality.
There was what you'd have to call some sort of media suppression of Hunter Biden's computer right before the election.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt.
Okay,
and the truth is, I still don't know what I think about that. And sometimes,
right.
But I mean, to actually parse everything in there and figure out just how dirty Biden Sr. is as a result of the information there.
Can I go to step two? But nothing really, it was common, it was the kind of sort of everyday graft that's sleazy, but doesn't affect the world, probably.
Right. Yes.
Hunter Biden sold his father's influence to get money, but Joe Biden himself would not give away our nuclear secrets to the Chinese.
Yes,
He's not, he has a soft
corruption
spot for his son,
Yeah.
his ne'er-do-well, stupid son.
I mean, you've heard his voicemails to his
Yes.
Hunter. Yeah,
so, like, Dad, I'm in a little bit of a jam. Could you just meet with the Chinese guy next week? It would mean a lot to me. Like, and Joe would do it, and then and then Hunter would get the money for the meeting.
That's how ugly it got when the Hunter Biden scandal blew wide open. Honestly, we're lucky Hunter didn't charm his way into swapping nuclear codes for a quick Venmo transfer. With his track record, wouldn't even be surprising. The guy's been selling access, influence, maybe even more, and yet somehow the media still crowns him as troubled instead of corrupt. Meanwhile, if Trump Jr. even sneezed wrong, the media would be calling for a public hanging. The double standard is laughable. Trump breathes, scandal, Hunter gets caught red-handed with dirty deals, total radio silence. And that's exactly why even old-school liberals like Bill Maher are finally snapping. At some point, even the most loyal Democrats have to admit, this isn't journalism anymore. It's straight-up propaganda. And guess who's been leading the charge? Yep, Kaitlan Collins herself. So when she finally sat down with Bill Maher, everyone knew sparks would fly, but no one was ready for the complete obliteration that followed.
You made press because you were on Stephen Colbert's show, and he said something like, you guys at CNN just report the news straight, and the crowd burst into laughter. Look, I'm on CNN now. I guess we're on it right now. I mean, they show this show the next night. I don't know how we get away with it with all the fucks, but they do. And all these dirty jokes. But I'm glad, and I'm a big rooter for CNN. But that tells you a lot, doesn't it? I mean, how do you guys think you are doing in that arena of, like, this is a terribly divided country. We're not only politicized, a lot of people just hate the other side. And CNN, in my view, should be the place where both sides can watch. How do you think you're doing with that?
How is CNN is the place where both sides can watch. And I think, my show is evidence of that. We have lawmakers on from both parties. We'll have Elizabeth Warren on one night. We'll have Ted Cruz on.
Bill Maher wasn't pulling any punches. He straight up scorched Kaitlan Collins and CNN, ripping apart their laughable claims of being impartial. Maher called it exactly what it is, a performance. CNN loves to parade around a token conservative just long enough to tick a box, only to gang up and tear them to shreds seconds later. Fair. Please. It's controlled opposition, plain and simple. Meanwhile, Democrats get treated like royalty. CNN practically doubles as their crisis management team, spinning scandals, sugarcoating disasters, and burying anything that could make their side look bad. Maher's not blind. He knows CNN isn't reporting the news anymore. They're manufacturing consent. They don't just cover stories. They choose which truths get seen and which ones get buried, all while pretending they're the gatekeepers of truth. And the second someone calls out their propaganda machine, boom. They cry misinformation and try to cancel anyone who steps out of line. No wonder Bill finally lost it. Even for him, the shameless double standards were just too massive to ignore.
I'm from Alabama. I'm from a very red state. I have a very conservative family, a lot of them who are Trump voters. They watch my show every night, and I think they know that they can trust me, that, you know, we call bullshit on every side, not just whatever leaning our audience may be. And I think that's something that people actually want more of.
Hey, Kaitlan, newsflash. Just because you grew up around conservatives doesn't mean you get a free pass on CNN's bias. Your personal backstory doesn't magically cancel out the obvious spin your network pushes daily. Nice try, though. Let's be honest. Dropping My Family's Republican into interviews is starting to sound like a weak flex. Just because your parents might still invite you to Thanksgiving doesn't mean they're co-signing your work. They could just be smiling through it the same way they cheer on a kid missing every note at a school recital. If CNN was actually fair, you wouldn't need to wave around your family's political views like some kind of shield. The reality is crystal clear. CNN softballs. Democrat scandals, drags Trump any chance they get, and calls it balance when they let a never-Trumper rant for a few seconds. Bill Maher caught the game instantly. He didn't just call you out, he lit it up. And Maher's not alone. Megyn Kelly also had some choice words you're not going to want to miss.
I'm sorry, but she's only a star with leftists. And the fact that she has some roots in Alabama does not make her a fair and balanced reporter. I will submit to the record, her biggest sin is not that she is biased, though she is. It's that she's boring. She's extremely boring with no personality. I have a pro tip for her. Smile. Try smiling every once in a while. Try not to be, like, in your delivery, such a cold-hearted all the time, because it gives people nothing to bond to. You can be a tough interviewer and also have some warmth.
Megyn nailed it. Kaitlan Collins can't hide CNN's bias no matter how hard she tries. She's as left-leaning as the network itself, and no amount of "I'm neutral" will change that. And let's be real, she needs to smile more and drop the permanent smirk. There's a fine line between tough and cold, and right now, she's all ice. Megyn gets it. Bill Maher gets it. The audience, they definitely get it too. Maybe Kaitlan should finally take the hint.
Stephen Colbert had on Kaitlan Collins from CNN, obviously talking about how terrible Trump is and what a terrible job he's doing and how Kamala Harris has all the momentum and all of that sort of thing. But that's not the interesting part of the clip. The interesting part of the clip is that Stephen Colbert says, in perfect seriousness, with a straight face, that the legacy media are objective. That CNN is objective, and listen to the reaction of the crowd. Again, this is a crowd who opts into viewing The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, which means that they are all on the left.
Trump has kind of been thrown on his heels by this, and he's not really sure how to go after Vice President Harris. He knew his attack lines on President Biden. He really has struggled with how to go after someone who's 20 years younger than him, who is a different gender, a different race. It's kind of been this moment where he has not been able to coalesce around a single attack line.
I know you guys are objective over there, that you just report the news as it is. Oh, I know. CNN makes I know.
Was that supposed to be a laugh line?
I wasn't supposed to be, but I guess it is.
Okay, that is an incredible admission, number one, by Stephen Colbert.
Even the left's starting to admit it. CNN isn't neutral. They've become the PR team for the Democrats, happily spinning anti-Trump hysteria and sweeping scandals under the rug. It's not journalism. It's pure narrative control. Ben Shapiro's right. CNN knows its audience wants bias, not balance. People don't tune in for facts. They want their beliefs echoed back to them. And CNN's happy to oblige, but deep down, even the left knows it's all a show. They don't care, as long as it makes them feel good. Bill Maher and Ben Shapiro see the truth. Even liberals are waking up to CNN's fake neutrality, and that's why Kaitlan's still out there trying to trap Caroline Leavitt. A desperate attempt to distract from the bigger picture.
Which White House official made the decision to bar the AP reporter from the Oval Office and the diplomatic reception room last night?
Well, first of all, let me just set the record straight. It is a privilege to cover this White House. It's a privilege to be the White House press secretary. And nobody has the right to go into the Oval Office and ask the President of the United States questions. That's an invitation that is given. And there are hundreds of outlets on this campus, many of you in this room who don't have the privilege of being part of that pool every single day and getting to ask the President questions. We reserve the right to decide who gets to go into the Oval Office, and you all have credentials to be here, including the Associated Press, who is in this briefing room today.
But isn't it retaliatory in nature is the argument, because the reason that the AP was barred, which they said was because they're not using the phrase Gulf of America, they're using Gulf of Mexico in line with their standards. And so the question here is this setting a precedent that this White House will retaliate against reporters who don't use the language that you guys believe reporters should use? And how does
No one's entitled to the Oval Office unless you're the president. Access is a privilege, not a right. But Kaitlan Collins and the woke mob act like they're entitled to it. Trump's presidency made it clear. The media tried to disrespect him, and when he shut the door, they threw a fit. Caroline Leavitt reminded them, the president decides who enters, not journalists or media elites who think their press passes make them royalty. Now Karine Jean-Pierre is jumping in, criticizing Leavitt for press restrictions, even though she ran one of the most restrictive press policies herself. Classic double standard. When Democrats limit access, it's for security, but when Republicans do it, it's an authoritarian crisis. Give us a break. Jean-Pierre was gaslighting America, claiming Biden was sharp when it was obvious he wasn't. Leavitt's restrictions weren't about hiding weakness. They were about maintaining order. Unlike Jean-Pierre, who covered up an administration in freefall, Leavitt is focused on transparency. Karine, maybe it's time to sit this one out.
And it's not just the Democrat Party. The mainstream media still doesn't get it. Last night, MSNBC's Nicole Wallace disgustingly looped in a 13-year-old boy with brain cancer into an attack on the president over January 6th. And CNN's first chyron out of the speech called it divisive. President Trump wasn't divisive. The Democrats were. And CNN was proven wrong by their own viewers, 69% of whom, in a post-speech poll, said they had a positive reaction to the president's speech. It's sad and frankly pathetic that Democrats and liberals in the legacy media continue to allow their hatred for the president to override their love for our country. But nevertheless, the president will continue to unify this nation through policies that are grounded in common sense and that uplift all Americans.
It's honestly pathetic how legacy media prioritizes its hatred for Trump over any real love for the country. Since day one of his campaign, they've worked nonstop to paint him as the villain. And once he was in office, forget just reporting the news. They started setting traps, twisting stories, and launching coordinated attacks on him. But here's the twist. The public isn't buying it anymore. Poll after poll shows Americans are done with the media's Trump obsession. They're over the woke narratives, the one-sided reporting, and the constant outrage. Legacy media is panicking because when you lose the trust of the people, you lose everything. And Bill Maher, his final words for Kaitlan and CNN? Stop digging. He couldn't be more right. CNN and the far-left media have doubled down on their Trump hate, and it's only backfired. Every time they try to tear him down, his support grows. You'd think they'd learn, but nope. Same tired tactics, same disastrous results. If CNN has any hope of salvaging its credibility, they need to stop the endless hit pieces and try acting like a neutral outlet again. But who are we kidding? CNN isn't about journalism anymore. It's all about controlling the narrative. They don't report news. They create it. They don't cover Trump fairly. They weaponize every single story against him. Maher's right. Stop digging. But knowing CNN, they'll probably just grab a bigger shovel. The truth is, the media's obsession with Trump has only made him stronger. The lies, the hypocrisy, the constant double standards, it's what's driving people away. And as more voices like Maher, Shapiro, and Kelly call it out, the cracks in CNN's credibility only grow wider. They've burned their credibility, and Kaitlan Collins is just another cog in the machine. The media isn't the solution, they're the problem. If CNN doesn't change course, they'll keep digging themselves deeper into irrelevance. So maybe take Bill Maher's advice. Stop digging, because America is done listening. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more. Catch you in the next one.